I want to thank the council for their input tonight too. Thank you. Good discussion. I think there's a lot of positive to come out of this, and we will continue to work on this. Moving on, item 6B. Item 6B is discussion. Sorry, he's flipping through it.
Can we go back real quick so that
Yes.
we ended that the workforce is going to, task force is going to get back together.
Yes.
Maybe we'll see something in November, but most likely not.
Most likely not.
Most likely
Yes.
not,
Right.
to be safe. And we are going to come back and talk about the county ordinance.
Yes.
Our draft ordinance.
Yes.
And current 153.100.
Yes.
Okay.
We're gonna in November, we'll be back on the agenda again for us to discuss those three and try to get something temporarily in place until the task force is able to do what they need to do to get all these pieces in place that we discussed today.
Okay, I just want to make sure
Nope.
I understood exactly our direction.
You did. You did. You articulated it perfectly. All right, so discussion 6B is on proposed change on sheds of 10 by 12 or less in size. The city administrator, do you want to give just a real brief overview of this for us, please?
Just a reminder, council members, please do not put your mics on mute. When you do that and put it back to regular, and that's both of you on the ends, not just you, Michael, there's a 1 second delay, so when you make your comments, Mr. Bakken, after turning your microphone, it doesn't take it, because just please leave it on green. And we will replace batteries as necessary. Thank you. But yeah, Deb didn't catch a lot of the comments because of that. Back to the zoning permits. So this was discussed at the Planning Commission, zoning permits. 10 by 12 sheds or less. It was discussed, different alternatives. So right now, in general, the city has in place and the city council adopted sheds of less, or 10 by 12 or less, saying that that's a zoning permit rather than a building permit. Part of that issue is because a building permit under the state Uniform Building Code doesn't recognize structures under 200 square feet. And this is at every city. It's not just in the city of Breezy Point. It's all of them. So these sheds that are 10 by 12 or smaller are a conflict in all the cities. That's been discussed at every city that I've worked at. The issue then becomes, should we consider this also as part of the 25% impervious surface coverage issue? Talked about it at the Planning Commission level. The fact is, they see a need for the storage sheds and for a variety of reasons throughout the community. And the idea is there are some places in this town where they're already when they build the homes, they're already at 25% impervious surface, and they don't have space for a garage. They don't have space for a storage shed because they're already at that. So rather than make them go through the formal process of variance, it's been discussed, should we consider excluding the 120 square foot shed or smaller from the impervious surface. Now, mind you, these permits are quite simple to obtain under our city ordinance. Actually, half of them are actually issued by staff, not seen by the zoning administrator, and the fact is the building inspector does not see these permits whatsoever. So we wanted to see where the council stood on this before we have this discussion. This is a planning and zoning item, so if the council agrees with that, we would still have to have a public hearing, and then probably be held here at the city council level at a future meeting, and then we would look at making a change, if that's what the council agrees to.
Comments from council? Open for discussion. Anybody want to start? Councilor Little
Yeah, this seems like a reasonable thing to do because obviously, this goes back to the 20s when those units were first built as part of the original resort. And then subsequently they were sold off and they're small. I mean, they don't have any garages up there. They need a place to store their stuff, even just lawnmowers and stuff. So, I mean, it makes sense. It is a practical difficulty because of the lot size, and to try and hold them to an impervious coverage. I mean, if you wear a hat on the lot, you're pretty much exceeding the impervious coverage. So I think it's a good solution to a problem that has been festering in the weeds for years.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Councilmember Maroney, do you have any comments? Not at this point, or yes?
I was going to hear more comments first.
Okay, that's fine. Councilmember Bakken, you got anything? You want to hear this? Well, one of you are going to have to go first.
But all I know is it's been a problem forever. And there, as the ex-mayor alludes to, there's gotta be a solution to this. There just has to be, and you gotta account, this is a retirement.
Okay.
So, that's the way I feel about it.
But a lot of those, you have to take into account, a lot of those sheds were put in way before we even had ordinances
Correct.
on,
Correct.
impervious coverage and stuff. So I mean, you talk about grandfathered in, these are the poster childs for that. And it makes sense up there because that's a community unto its own.
Yeah, I know it is.
I think it actually deserves a separate, zoning because they have unique problems because of their size.
Yeah, I was gonna ask as far as like the ordinance, if the change to the ordinance, if it would be limited to certain areas, or, if that had been explored by P and Z as far as, where's the need for this and where's there not the need? I guess, I'm not gonna say I completely understand impervious coverage and how that all works in the different areas in the city that are impacted by it, but I guess that's kind of my.
Yes.
So yeah, to clarify a little bit, more based upon the conversations, it's not just this area of the community. We are issuing new permits in other parts of the community where there is no sewer line, where they're having to combine lots and still allowed to meet the 80% rule. And once they build and they put a driveway in, they're still at 25%. And so they can't even put a shed in, depending on the size of their garage. So it's not just the Circle Drive area that we're talking about for this discussion. We're talking about potentially
Citywide.
saying the entire city,
Yeah.
or potentially a zone. R3 particularly comes into mind. When you get to the R1s and R2, you're talking 2.5 acre lots. However, we were talking about it at the staff level again today there, because of wetlands, because of topographical issues, you still might be at 25% from the get-go. So there are some issues there. That's why the one shed, 10 by 12 or smaller, is being, I thought it was a good discussion. The planning commission liked the idea. And that's why we're bringing it forward to council, saying, for the people that are working with us on a regular basis, it is a hindrance. I don't know. But how can we resolve it? We think this is a potentially good resolution.
That answer your question, Councilmember Moore?
That's helpful, thank you. Do we see there people not coming forward with variances due to the cost? Is that
Yes, oh yeah.
what we're seeing? Okay.
Yeah, and they might, or they typically tell us that they're gonna wait to apply for the variance, and then we're always in the back of our mind wondering if they're building it on a weekend when we're not around type, but we don't know. I mean, these things move in a week, in 2 hours they're in and out, so.
Yeah, it's easy to put a 10 by 12 shed on a piece of property nowadays. Build one, just buy one and slide it in there, so.
Right. I mean, there are a lot of small lots in Breezy, I know, and there's already a lot of difficulties with them, so I guess I understand that.
Okay.
Anything else to comment?
Councilmember Maroney?
I definitely think, having a storage shed on a property that might be encroaching over that 25% is better than having blight. These are devices to store other devices. And so if, I'm trying to think, how many are over that 20, I think we have a note here that are over the 25% in that one district, but it's still 75% of the property left on that, and you can still meet, the setbacks still oblige, 3 foot side setbacks from.
Side and rear is 3 foot for a 10 by 12 or smaller.
Okay. Honestly, my first thought was, you mentioned anything under 200 square feet didn't need a building permit. I almost went a different direction about 10 by 20, but we're gonna stick to the 10 by 12. So no, I think it's better than blight.
Yeah, I would agree. Well, Councilmember Bakken, anything to add further?
No, sir.
Yeah. I mean, my comments are, I think it's a very practical solution to an issue that we have, that I think we've had for a long time. I think it addresses it not just in certain spots that we know traditionally have had it, but I think it also addresses it for potential future spots that could come up or could happen. And it's a small 10 by 12. It's, as Councilmember Maroney said, it's for storing things. Well, I think everybody would agree, we would love to have somebody as our next door neighbor that's storing things, rather than having them laid out in all full view for everybody to see, and that maybe is not stuff we want to see. So I think it's a good solution. I think the P and Z has come up with a good proposal, and me personally, I don't see a reason why we shouldn't proceed with making it happen. So I guess what I would ask for, so that we could make it official, is there a motion to this, to allow the P and Z to move forward with this?
Do we need a motion to,
I think just staff direction.
Consensus, but motion works too.
yeah, whatever?
Make a motion to have this forwarded back to P and Z for further discussion, then to come back in front of us for the public hearing.
We'd start the public hearing process, if that's okay.
Yep, start the public, yep. That's my motion.
All right. Do I have a second?
I can second.
Okay,
But
second
I
from
needed you.
Councilmember Lillehei. So I have a first from Councilmember Maroney, second from Councilmember Lillehei to send this back to B and Z so they can start the public hearing process and we can get this solidified. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carried. All right, thank you. Then, moving down, onward and upward, we have reached item 7, which is to adjourn the meeting. So, without any other further comment or discussion, do I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
So move.
I have Councilmember Maroney. Who is my second? Councilmember Lillehei. I have a first and a second to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.